Brady,
Driveline R&D podcast, episode 20. Don't burp while I'm talking,
Who just
Lindley.
burped? Is that Lindley?
I didn't think we were going.
Wow.
Keep that in. This is Alex Caravan, co-host and co-swag manager of Baseball Analytics. Drinking a twisted tea. I've already drank most of my tea, so let's slap in a little Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey. As always, a test if my roommate Max is watching an episode, as it is his alcohol. I'll sprinkle this a little bit since it's noon on Saturday. Max, if you see this,
Hey, it's the afternoon.
What's up?
It's the afternoon.
That is true.
Same deal last week too.
It's the afternoon. You're good.
Take it away.
I'm Kyle Lindley,
Nice.
Driveline R&D engineer, drinking a. Where's my bottle opener? Lagunitas IPA.
And I'm
Red and true to the OG.
Anthony
Yo, let me
Brady.
just open out with my teeth.
I'm Anthony Brady, the main host
God damn it.
of the primary host, the only primary host of the R&D podcast, Research and Drinks podcast, episode 20, June 27th, 2020. I'm drinking the Boulevard Brewing Tank 7 American Saison Ale. Yeah. Also,
And like last episode, is it full of water?
we're gonna cut that part
Okay.
out. We're gonna cut that
Okay.
part out.
That's all I need. That's all the answer I need.
We're gonna cut that part out. I'm drinking because last time I drank a 11% beer.
11% water, bro.
I'm gonna cut that out as well. This time I'm also drinking an 8.5% beer at noon on a Saturday. So I'm way more of a beast than Caravan.
All right, bro. You want me to train this whole thing on camera?
As I sip coffee.
You want me to pull a shoe nice and just take this to the dome?
Dude, please,
Shoe nice, baby.
please, yes and
You
no.
just stick a deodorant.
LA Beast videos. All right, yeah, this is episode 20. We made it to 20 episodes. How many? What is that? 5 months?
Mm-hmm.
Almost half a year.
I heard Caravan's throwing a party next weekend for episode 20.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna have
before
all
this,
our.
we were
We're
not
gonna
in
have 10
quarantine.
guests. We've had quite a few guest requests. We're gonna have them all on at the same time.
Oh wow.
We're
Okay.
gonna have them all at the same time, and we're only gonna let each one answer one question.
Okay.
So if you guys get an invite, we've had a couple. I'll just shout them out.
Yeah.
Some people internally, Dan O'Coin, Eric Jagers, some past employees, David Howell, a few other, not trying to run into a list here and then run out of steam and forget
Right.
someone. So I'll head myself off before getting too far deep. But yeah, we have maybe 8 to 10 solid guest requests.
Jigs
and
is,
we'll have them.
Jigs is he's headed to Cincinnati. Baseball is back.
That's true.
I don't think he's gonna make the party.
Oh yeah, because spring training is happening at the home
Yeah.
stadium.
Yeah. I was talking to him yesterday. Yeah, man, he's heading there.
Jiggy's trying to figure out if I can consult for him. After I put up that analytics memo,
Oh,
he
really?
said he's talking to Red's farm director to see if I can sign an NDA, and Jake's pays me out of his own pocket for
That
me to
is
do some
awesome.
analytics work for him
That
on
is
the
awesome.
side.
That'd be tight. I feel like though that comment might have just like nullified
Sunk it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you might have just sunk it and any possibilities of an NDA right there. So
Oh, you're not allowed to talk about the NDA?
I don't know how it works, but I
You
mean
can.
maybe you are after the deal's been made, but it's probably a bad look to talk about the NDA before the NDA has been signed. I think.
Good thing I was obviously joking.
Right, yeah.
And good thing. If you're the Reds farm director, definitely don't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, and
And then we'll clip that part out and put it in the beginning of the podcast.
yeah, we'll clip that out. We'll clip the whole like water thing because there's definitely beer in here. Just to be clear with everyone.
Yeah, let's see those bubbles.
It's bubbly.
All right. This might be the slowest start to a podcast yet.
Yep.
But
I think we say that every week.
Big changes.
Yeah, and
coming
it gets-
to the podcast
it-
soon though. Big
it gets slower every time.
Big changes coming to the podcast soon.
Yeah, and ironically, we might not even know what the changes are. Based on the current workflow, we might find out with our fans.
The world is it's crazy. I still can't believe that we're 5 months into podcasting, and before this was pre-quarantine. It seems like so much further away than that.
Dude, yeah, but I'm thinking like, well, yeah. What if our chemistry in person is just super bad now?
I think my chemistry. I think in
this
general,
is saving us.
yeah, I think in general, my chemistry in person with everyone is just going to be like so weird. I don't know.
I don't think it was too bad. I don't think it was too bad hanging out with Joe and his girlfriend the other week. Lindley, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad at all.
Legitimately, for a couple of seconds there, I was like, dude, I've talked to Joe. The last 40 times I've talked to Joe have been all over Zoom. So just kind of like nuts seeing him in person.
Yeah, it's got to be really weird. Yeah, it's
also
it's
for
not bad
new
here,
listeners,
because we have with the athletes and everything.
Oh, what we're saying, Lindley?
For new listeners, we did start this podcast before quarantine, so this wasn't a response to quarantine. So
yeah, we're not one of those, just like bought out the Amazon mics. Figured we
also peaked before quarantine.
Yeah, we also probably have less viewership than most of the other podcasts that did start during.
But again, it's all changing. Our CEO, Dirty Mike Rathwell, is about to put a lot of money behind this podcast.
Marathon, not a sprint. And
if you're one of the OG 100, how about this? I mean, we'll definitely offer some sort of discount deal, but start taking screenshots now of listening, because if you're one of our OG current first 100 fans, there'll be something in the works for you in the future.
Yeah, I mean, when quarantine ends and all of these other like coaches and strength people, they go back to like working with athletes, their podcasts are gonna. There's no way. Like, what do you think the percentage is of just like podcast drop off post quarantine? Like, I mean, ours is gonna make it to episode 100 because we promised so many, locked up clips at that point already.
And we have so many important people like listening. We have very few people, they're all very important.
Yes.
It's funny how you guys mentioned we're probably getting more viewers from quarantine. But should we talk about the amount of viewers we got in the last episode?
Nope. Anyways, so this last week we launched something we've been talking about for a while. Yeah, dude.
Are we going straight into the next segment, or are we doing anything on last week, or going straight into Track Edge?
That is last week, honestly, for me. But I guess if you have something that's last week that's not that.
Really, a lot of Arizona ops. As usual down here, tons of logistics, a lot of things going on. Arizona isn't the best place right now for a lot of things going on. So we've had to really tighten things up with training. We're taking like a ton of precautions and just going like super ham on everything because we want to keep being able to train athletes. So we're super stringent. We've like ramped up sanitation, mandated mask while training, all these things, kind of like make sure we keep like ourselves safe, the athletes safe, and we in the middle of the week lost our field that we were doing live ABs on. Because the high school district that we were using shut down all their facilities until like mid-July. But yesterday morning, we're able to secure and find another field, and we're able to still pull off some live ABs last night. So that was pretty good. Got some more ELO data as well. Write-up will come soon. It'll be out there eventually. But yeah, that was really all the AZ ops. Got some exciting like validation and reliability testing updates on pitch AI with paired data, and got a big mocap day tomorrow. So I'm excited for that. Got another like 20, 30 mocaps.
That's so wild, dude.
That was my
20 mocaps.
That was my last week.
On a completely separate note, breaking the fourth wall here a little bit. My brother claims he did not smoke heaters in here, so I don't know what it is, but it still smells kind of rough. So if I pass it on camera, that's why. But anyways, go ahead, Lindley.
Last week I just did some study things, put together some documentation as well for like other people in the company who have research ideas, how to put those together and organize them in a way that we can just like maximize our research output.
Playbook pipeline.
Yeah. And so we can kind of expand R&D expand research out of just the R&D department.
Yeah.
And then Yeah, other than that, just some writing and then a couple requests from trainers for looking into a little biomechanics investigation.
I'll say that's also actually one thing that I did a bunch last week is fucking reading and reviewing and like scoping out a bunch of work that you guys have done, which was pretty cool. One of them was Dan's dissertation.
Oh yeah, on the Arsenal scores.
That was a lot. I tried so hard to read like link by link and reference by reference, but man, that was a novel. And then reading all of you guys' stuff, then giving some feedback here and there.
You said you did get a chance to take a look at SPM blog too?
Yeah, I looked at SPM like super late last night. I threw in a couple comments on the doc, like very minor things that I just like noticed. But I have some notes down here actually on some more general thoughts, trying to like give a little more interpretation of like tying all those metrics in together, which I'll hit you guys with later. But there's one note I put on the doc that is hilarious. With there's an error in one of the things. If you're looking at it, I thought it was like just comical. It was the test of, I want to say, all tall throwers, hard versus soft, and the description of like the throwers in each group was so off. Like I think you might have just like copied and pasted or something, but it was really really funny.
What do you mean, like the average height and the average velo?
Yeah, like you really, I think the wording was just like copied and pasted from somewhere else in the document, so it just like sounds hilarious. See where it is. Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure
this is really good. Among the tall throwers, we have 17 hard throwers and 6 soft throwers, and then you say the hard throwers sat 73 miles per hour, so the hard throwers threw slow, while the short throwers were 90.5. So,
something just
the same thing happened on the short group. The same thing happened, and I fixed it.
Yeah, the hard tall throwers threw slower than the short, but also tall throwers. Like,
bro,
if you take the literal,
it's numbers, dog. I'm a numbers guy, dude.
It was so funny. It was like among the tall throwers, we had these breakdown, and then it goes to the short throwers were the hardest of the. Yeah, I couldn't get past that. I stopped reading after that point. And I'll circle back to it later. That was good stuff.
I was going to say on that note, we could talk about kind of our the back and forth we had with Joe and Dan about what we should be pushing the first 2 months when we are in gym, because we're going to be in gym. We're going to have athletes soon, and what we're essentially doing is we have a few internal ideas, but we're also going to be pushing something we have pushed in the past, but have a more regulated, cohesive attempt at it, where we try to have as many technologies running as often as possible for anybody that comes in. Mocaps, has Edgetronic, so someone would mocap, have Edgetronic, throw something with on Rapsodo, with a DK ball, pitch logic ball, like something like that. Just have everything laid out, mark whatever sensors, and then have everything go to TRAQ, and then look at the TRAQ back end, try to loop everything together, and really nail down paired validations across like multiple technologies at once.
Yeah, especially with the like pitch AI stuff down here with like paired mocap files and videos and velocity and all of that. It's just gonna like pay off so much more in the future. So like at least the idea that I was thinking of is like every single pitch that's thrown in the lab, which is also why I'm super excited about the facility, where the lab will only be for the lab. Like the 4-3 lab at the old facility was like the biomechanics lab for 2 hours in the morning, and then it was like the pitch design lab / mound for a couple hours, and then it was like a training place, and then it was also youth training, all that stuff. It's like the lab at the new facility is only going to be the lab, and like no training is going to go down in there unless it's part of like research and lab stuff. So I'm super excited about the idea that every single pitch that is thrown in the lab has an ID attached to it, and then all of the various technologies that we're on, so we can just have like a massive database later for pairing or insights, whether it's like video and CV stuff or technology validations, or even like I think the other really exciting one too is building like models off the more complex data that like maps towards the like simpler data kind of a thing, you know, like simplifying that and building those out, like the estimations of those metrics.
Here, still muted.
Yeah. On a complete separate note, also, can you guys hear a little bit of background noise on my end?
Not really.
Not too bad. You've been muted, but
Kind of tough
when you haven't been muted, I couldn't hear anything.
Slightly open window, someone talking outside. I actually just pulled this up. Like, I don't know if they're comfortable getting their name shared on Zoom, so I won't do it. But someone reached out to me with some specific, someone that works in analytics for a college, reached out to me with some questions about war. And a few of them are fairly nuanced questions that I'll probably take some of my time and write up a little bit. But I thought it'd actually be kind of fun and, you know, a loop back to, since you've mentioned war for a couple episodes running now, I could answer a few of them online, like on the spot now. I'm looking at them. And save me about 4 minutes of work, I guess, just sending them this recording and potentially get a new R&D podcast fan.
Yeah.
But also things that other people are wondering about. So, if you guys are down, I can drop a couple like 3 to 5 minute blurbs on this. But I have some of his questions. So the email is titled, and it's totally on the spot. The email is titled "Question about War and Other Advanced Analytics." This guy really politely reached out to me over Twitter. I gave him my email, so he reached out. So his first question is,
it's a pretty big qualifier at the end of that title. It'd be pretty sweet if you got an email that was just titled "Questions about War."
Yeah,
just like whoa.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Yeah. The first line is just like, my thoughts are, going back to the Crusades. It's always been. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So his first question is, how did you initially go about compiling all the statistics from across all levels of D1? Where did you get the information from? Was there a specific program used? And I've actually gone this question a little bit over time, whether in Twitter DMs or just like even people internally. And we basically scraped play-by-play data for D1, D2, and D3. And there was actually a open repository as well that we accessed. I think I sent the link to a guy on Twitter, but I'll probably link it in the description. It is, let's see. Probably not gonna find it right now. But it's someone already has a repository on GitHub where they have. Oh, here we go. Okay. So the guy's name is actually Dav Miller, and he has a GitHub page, and it's a play-by-play scraper, and it's an R. Okay. His next question is there a way to change the general league averages to divide them by conference? Would that change the outcome of actual war by player? That would change the average war by player, because then the replacement level is going to be completely different based on the conferences. Which it might be worth you doing that for investigating like inter conference different values, because some teams will face different schedules. We did accommodate for this by incorporating strength of schedule, which is something that is not incorporated in MLB WAR. So it's actually the reason we did that. We did it specifically to avoid having the wide variance in level of play between conferences.
Yeah.
And then he had a couple questions on our guts page, which I don't know if you guys saw that or if you guys know what I mean when I say guts. But like sabermetrically speaking, if you go to Fangraphs, you look at stuff like guts, it'll have coefficients for each year, because in a year a single might be worth a different value, stuff like that. Like kind of relevant to what I was giving you, Brady, for ELO. Each play will have different like coefficients and scales and everything. So he had a couple of questions about guts. So he asked about like the environment and run differential and team factor, or park factor he's probably talking about. And there is a park factor calculation. We talked about it in our introduction to cWAR. So I don't want to get too much into it and too detailed, but basically in the grand scheme of things, park factor is a way to normalize the scoring environment, because in some parks it's easier to score runs, some are pitcher parks, so we want to smooth out people's statistics across those parks so they're not biased by a pitcher pitching in a very pitcher friendly park.
It also accounts for difference in like calibration or measurement.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And we in our WAR we actually adjusting FIP and not RA9 or ERA, so the park factor will be regress even heavier to avoid overfitting on a metric that doesn't consider non-home run balls in play, because FIP is already supposed to be taking in consideration like the park a little bit out of it.
Yeah.
So if we weren't using FIP, we'd actually use park factors. We'd actually regress we actually use park factors even more. So next question is, he talks about run expectancy and how like that coaching staff is interested in run expectancy. So this is probably a question I'll have to give him a bit more detail of an answer writing up, but he asks, based on the run expectancy chart, would you say that this philosophy of continuously throwing strikes is advantageous for us, or would you think that there's maybe a better way of going about things? Because he talks about like, should throw strikes in each count. I would say yeah. I mean, like you can get kind of lost in looking at stuff like RE 288, which is each like count, each possible count by each possible number of outs by the bases being full. And actually, I think this is a good time I could potentially impromptu screen share here. Again, unplanned screen share, but maybe we can clip this segment out. Okay. Toss your boy a bone.
That's gonna be up to Lindley.
Okay, got it. So, yep. This is an RE 288. Here are the counts. Here are the bases full combinations, and here are the outs. So this is essentially like, you'll notice this is the highest reward expectancy value, which makes sense, right? Count 3-0, bases loaded, 0 outs, and something like 0-2, no runners on, 2 outs should be the lowest. So that's probably around here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, a lot of this is used not necessarily for someone, I don't think it makes sense for someone trying to gear their approach based on the difference between like a 3-0, 3-1 count. As much, I think that's a little bit, you can get way too granular with it. And a lot of this is used specifically for building cohesive advanced analytics and stats. So I don't think you should impact your general game plan based on run expectancy. Rather, use that to evaluate like performance, if that makes sense, and like success of pitches. Again, like on a general sense, like you average out run expectancies. Don't worry about so much of like, okay, this guy, how does the curveball compare on a 3-0 count versus the fastball, so forth. So again, would not worry too much about that stuff. A couple more questions about the count. Like I said, I'll answer those a bit more. And then here's a really interesting question. Is there a way to properly predict how their numbers will translate at that next level? Are there any specific numbers that give you a better indication of which players would be successful? Do you believe there's a correlation between a higher WAR in college and a successful major league career? Is there a way of proving it by finding the collegiate WAR for players in the post-juiced bat era? The answer is yes. The longer answer is yes, and it's still something we're working on, although we have put some stuff out there. And if you look at some of there are existing draft models that look at like, minor league WAR and then major league WAR and build models based off that. There are very few that have done college WAR, and it's something that we actually were thinking about pushing. We just couldn't push it in time for the actual draft. But the way to go about it, and a way we will go about it, is also because we only have cWAR going back a few years. We have cWAR. We have some people with cWAR all the way back to 2013, but it's only like 2017 on that we have position players, pitchers,
right,
across all conferences. So those players don't really have major league. There might be a few, probably like a handful of people, right?
Very rarely are they at the league level right now.
Yeah. So the answer really is we need to like get more backlog data all the way back to 2013 to really be able to tell. But
need more time for like major league data. Yeah,
exactly. Because someone can have a poor first 2 years and then still become an all-star, still have a different like a full career.
Yeah.
So I believe that there's certainly, but like the short answer is what that we could be doing is linking war and college to their scouting grade, what they have even through the minors, right? Because scouting grades will adjust. Someone will come in, maybe they're 40 future value, then they'll be like 50 future value after a year in single A, whatever. So that is actually what we were planning on doing.
Gotcha.
Ran out of time a little bit, shifted around some priorities, but that is essentially the quicker feedback loop of what we would do for that. So it's basically all the questions. Like I said, I'll get to some details on the count and stuff in his email. But thanks for the questions. I'll send you this if you want me to drop your name on a podcast. I will next episode. And at the very least, you listening to this is going to guarantee us at least one more view.
Yeah.
Anyways, as we were.
Yeah. All right. TRAQ Edge launch. Next topic. What from last week? Announcements went out. Everything we talked about a bit on the podcast, but I think more info's been dropped throughout the week, starting to like push marketing and content.
Have we gotten a bunch of feedback yet on people using it, or are we still kind of in the process of getting it like distributed?
We aren't really on it yet.
Yeah,
I mean, people are on track, but essentially like the unveiling, which by the way, I don't know if you guys realize this. Max realized this and pointed out to me. You realize our tiers of TRAQ spell free sex because it's free
S-E and X.
S and then X. There's no E, but you see, you would see free S and then X,
yeah.
dude.
TRAQ S, TRAQ X, yeah. Well, wait, isn't
it doesn't?
I thought
The
there was
bundle
a P.
say
Is there not
the
a P?
bundle say
No, the on-site is the other tier.
Oh yeah, but it says like the way the bundles are structured says like free S and X. There's like no space between free S and X. I mean, or there's a space, but there's no other words.
Damn.
Yo, sign up for TRAQ, baby. Free sex.
That is spicy for sure. Yeah, so the messaging went out, and then we've gotten like a bunch of feedback or asking people on kind of like what technologies they have, kind of like what areas they might fall into, those kind of things.
Yeah. I was gonna say the biggest thing is I think we've gotten a ton of positive feedback, especially like I said. I mean, I've been spending a lot of my time on the marketing and product development of the actual the Edge report.
Yeah,
the reports that I myself and Dan created, and then York put it together all in the Edge architecture. Then we synced it up with the devs, like all stuff we kind of talked about before. The exciting thing has been how easily we've been able to push upgrades and like cater to demands, because we were already kind of talking about this, but people wanted to see youth for swing profile.
Yep,
I got youth for swing profile. People wanted the ability to toggle different levels for comparison. I got that out. So it's kind of like almost been, I was marketing a swing profile like day after day, just being like, oh, you guys asked for it. Here it is. You guys asked for it. Here it is. Like it's specifically catered to demands, not only of our like trainers, also of our valued customers, and things we can change like that. We're adding a ton more reports.
Yep.
Max wants me to actually sit down and come up with what we can push out by, the next month, because we're going to double up. We're going to send it on development costs that we need to the devs to get as much Edge stuff as we can in there.
Yep.
So it's really, really exciting, and it's really, really fun to almost like instantly deliver something that customers are asking for. Like they ask for it, and the next day you just push out something like, oh, this is actually now live.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah, on my end, the most exciting thing is Pitch AI and TRAQ integration development is now underway and should be in the next 3 to 4 weeks range before it's kind of like live, and fucking so excited about that. I started like plugging it here and there on socials. I know it got brought up in the Driveline Plus Slack channel. Answered a couple questions. A lot of people.
I forgot to look over there.
Yeah, like the majority of the questions are just like, how does that even work?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm like in general, I've always been, and just like at conferences talking to people, I've always been a huge stickler for like, kind of dumping on things that are like aren't valid, aren't reliable, that kind of thing. And I've been pretty like bearish on the potential for like markerless compared to like markered. And I mean, I am
you in your words.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about where pitch AI is headed, and the things that Son and I have been able to work on with like getting paired data from the mocaps down here in Arizona, and it's
it looks awesome.
I can't like say too much yet, but I will say Caravan late last night, Son got me some figures, and I'm trying to think of what I can say. All errors were under 10%.
Let's go.
Which I think is like insane. So I don't know.
Is there gonna be an updated kind of post in the pitch AI Basecamp?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna do just like a memo on like here's where we're at, because a lot has changed. So much has changed in the last like 3 weeks with developments and the way that like things have been trained and stuff. So
dude, yeah, it's really exciting. It's really exciting having all these projects that we kind of talked about.
Yeah,
all kind of going for it at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Son about this as well in our weekly meeting. I think even in the messaging that went out on the like TRAQ launch and pitch AI stuff, I think the exact words in there were like, oh yeah, you can now get a good enough biomechanics report with just like your iPhone. I think it's going to surpass that. Like it's looking at like the signal data.
We're underselling it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more than just like good enough from what we're seeing. And it's kind of, it's a product of us having so much knowledge of kind of like what matters in the complex like markered biomech data, and being able to like pull out the signal that does matter, find out like where it overlaps and when, kind of a thing. Yeah, there's going to be issues. I guess I should have like prefaced this all with saying like, this isn't going to be the marketed mocap lab. It's not going to be, the same thing as our like $50,000 lab, all that stuff. But because we have all that data and what we do know, it's going to be pretty good.
Well, one of the biggest things there is that we just like might get a shorter list of metrics, but the ones we do get, it's like,
very strongly
good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gonna be good enough and like, or like good for changing or improving mechanics.
Yeah. And there's so much potential too for, I this hasn't been talked about much, but I think there's a large potential for in-game footage. Like if you can set up a camera, especially with the power of the iPhones nowadays, like the 11 Pro Max with the 3 cameras and the zoom potential. I mean, you can set up an iPhone down the line as long as you're like perpendicular. I don't think it's out of the question that you'll be able to get that good enough or even better biomechanics report on like in-game data, and it's gonna be really fast once it's integrated with TRAQ. All you're gonna have to do is upload the video, and then you'll get the report, overlays, 3-dimensional views of the mechanics, and the most exciting part is that's just the beginning, right? Like that's the very beginning of the integration, the partnership, and I think it's gonna go a lot more places. So very excited.
All right. So we can move on to keep this kind of like running at a decent clip with my NCAA interjection. We'll move this on to me kind of tossing out some sabermetric ideas for the general community, because a couple weeks ago or a week ago we like sat down and planned, like Dan and I and the rest of the analytics wing. Specifically, we were looking for projects that we can kind of have working on the background, delegate, outsource, and maybe check in a couple weeks. And realistically, like we won't be able to do all of them, and some of them are incredibly niche. So I don't even know how interested other people are in this, but they definitely are things that I think are valuable. And like I said, if anybody else does like goes and does a public research and does it in a positive way, I mean it'd be I think a great opportunity for someone to fill in the gap, because these are all things that I believe we've spent time like researching anything similar, and we know this is like a missing hole, so to speak. And also, make work easier for us, because we're completely looking for ways to incorporate more knowledge and build our products better.
Yeah,
so I'll say,
if you're one of the people that is like, what should I do? I want to get into like baseball analytics or do something, or like looking for a project. I would I would write down everything that Caravan is about to say, and then go do it.
Because a lot of this stuff is public data, right?
Yeah. And I think most like analysts playing around with stuff at home, they have access to MLB data. It's not that hard to get. You can probably find stuff online. I'll shout out Bill Petty because I think he has the easiest GitHub for pitch by pitch scraping from MLB levels. He has some NCAA stuff as well.
Yeah.
His stuff is really good and very easy to follow. It's an R, but either way, you can, even if you don't use R, you can just set R up for that, load it into a SQL database, and then build whatever you want in another language.
Yeah.
But I'll say, and a lot of it would be good for. It's honestly really good for someone who's done like maybe one initial project, is already comfortable working with big data a little bit, and then wants to get something a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
So I'll say first big one is there's been some stuff done on like times through the order penalty. Essentially like the second and third time facing the same hitters, how poorly does your quality decline? How worse are you from an outcome point of view, right? Do you get hit more? What I don't think has been done, and I think is really interesting is
this is from the pitcher's perspective.
Yeah. So pitchers get hit worse the second and third time they're facing through the lineup, and there's tons of factors to consider there. Some natural fatigue. Do the hitters recognize the pitches better?
Perception.
So forth. Yeah.
Shameless plug. I got a tweet thread out there about some gauge tracking data on that.
And that was before.
Exacting.
That was before Lindley started getting some followers, so obviously got no love.
Now
Lindley.
I also framed it a little.
Self-plug.
Also framed it poorly, I think.
Self-plug, shameless thread. I also saw you whipped up a personal blog.
Oh yeah.
Lindley?
Kyle Lindley on Medium, dude.
Lindley has a personal blog?
Yeah, I saw he put out a Medium blog on what was the book? Was it a perception book?
That was my second one. I did one on Blink a month ago or so.
Yeah, I saw that
and
one.
Then
what was the one last week?
I did Perception. It was Joan Vickers, Quiet Eye book.
Yeah, Quiet Eye.
Oh damn!
It's stupid. It's not like it's not applied to baseball. It's not applied to baseball.
Lindley immediately backtracking. Well, dude, you know what my Medium blog is, right?
Not stupid for you.
I wasn't gonna put it on this or that's why I didn't put a long tweet thread about it because it's just not applicable to baseball.
I've thought a lot about doing like a
faceless Twitter
blog. I know that like Bodie.
I'm way more passionate about that one.
Like he has that.
Sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
I've seen other people do personal blogs. I think that's like pretty sweet. I think there are like cool things that I've always been like, damn, I should just like write this up from a like personal public perspective, but I don't. Yeah. So it was cool to see that.
I started designing my own website, and I'm hoping to have a blog page on there too. But Medium for now.
So at the very least, the quality of your blog may have motivated / inspired me to like do my own. So
let's go.
I think that's
really, it's just a grab at getting more Twitter followers, so I could try to beat Caravan.
I'm gonna go retweet it right now, actually.
Oh god.
You know my old school blog on Medium. Called Glanton and the Judge.
I haven't read it. I didn't know you had one. I'll have to go check it out.
I think Nikolai and Bodie are like the only people that I've read in the last 2 years. You know what Glanton and Judge. Also, by the way, Brady, whoever you told to like get ready to write this down is getting so pissed.
Yeah. Sorry. But real quick, just check my retweets.
They're just writing down Lindley's. They just wrote down Lindley's blog.
Oh god! I didn't expect any of you guys to read it because it was just a link.
That's
trust me, bro.
Bro.
I haven't read it. It's all Brady, dog.
That's messed up.
That's okay. It's okay.
All right, analytics topics.
Oh, okay. So
Finally
time to order stuff.
Paper and pen. I'm ready to start writing. What we got?
Yeah, that's what we were buying time.
Yeah. So I just got finished reading Malcolm Gladwell's Blink. What a book. First, I think it's worth talking about my first main takeaway, which is that intuition and thin slicing can be productive. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna read Lindley's
Gladwell's Blink. Got it.
I'm not gonna read Lindley's personal blog line by line. But if you want to, go to medium.com/@Kyle.driveline/
that is so beast. How did you pull that off?
@Kyle.driveline.
Oh my gosh.
I made it when I was an intern, and then I the first time I sent it to somebody, they're like, dude.
What? Yeah, I just have to, I'm going to show this on the.
Hey, Bodie, if you're listening to this, man, I'll sell it.
Look at this.
You could buy the handle off.
Look at this up here. At Kyle.driveline. What a beast. Oh my gosh.
Dude, the shitty thing with this
That's
episode is
awesome.
we're trying to convince Mike and everyone to put more money and push our episodes more. And so far, this is probably the most all over the place episode yet.
Yeah, this is just a tough segment, but it's okay. Let's get into the analytics stuff. This is good.
Anyways, okay, so we talked about times through the order, and that's heavily based on outcomes, right? Do hitters get hit more, that kind of stuff. But what I think would be really interesting is looking at it from an intrinsic pitch quality point of view. So how much if you were to categorize pitches with an Arsenal score or something similar, your own intrinsic pitch quality measure, there's stuff out there, Glenn Healy stuff, other people's like per pitch run values or whatever measure of pitch quality, seeing how much that fatigues.
Yeah.
So does the curveball like drop less? Do pitches intrinsically get worse?
So the input degradation.
Or is it just that hitters are getting better at or both? Like kind of like, but like approaching it specifically from an intrinsic quality rather than outcome quality. Yeah. Because I think outcome quality has a lot more factors to consider. So I'll call it Arsenal score fatigue. I think would be really, really interesting. Other things are aging curves for specific kind of similar things, specific like intrinsic pitch quality and or like hitters like swing decisions kind of. So again, there's been a little bit of research done on that end, but most of it has been kind of like cut and dry. Like, okay, this is how hitters like walk percentage like goes over the course of their career. And some of that is the fact that we only have StatCast data dating back to 2015. So you can only attribute a bunch of the StatCast metrics like exit velo, launch angle, spin rate, although spin rate is in pitch X, like only to 2015. But if you can get a solid intrinsic measure either on the pitch side or swing side and apply aging curves to that, I think there's still quite a lot of work to be done there on the public side of things.
Yeah.
And I'll say my third one is kind of seeing the variance in kind of a dangerous inning, like calling something a dangerous inning where your run expectancy either dips above or below a threshold a certain amount of times. Like based on so like maybe you put yourself in that 3-0 count, bases loaded, 0 outs, and then how do you go from there? How are the number of runs you actually let in that inning compared to the run expectancy? Kind of that variance, like how much like pitchers yo-yo up and down in an inning. And this one's a little bit more complex and like one of the ones we might actually use as a measure in gym when someone goes in, like that person had a dangerous inning, like regardless of how hard they actually got hit or didn't get hit, or how many pitches they used or didn't use, how much their performance yo-yoed relative to the run expectancy, and breaking that down by count. So maybe like this guy does a terrible job when he's in a 2-0 count, like getting value out of that. But maybe he puts people away when it's an 0-2 count, kind of really trying to hammer home any sort of specific distinctions we can split by that. Because I think a lot of times people use a broad brush. I almost said breaststroke. They just breaststroke right over the count situation. So okay, you don't have to shove your breast in the picture there.
I've been doing some swimming.
So have you actually?
Yeah.
You have access to
you got to in Arizona.
What's up?
You have access to a pool around there?
We have a pool in the backyard.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's a big one.
It's like in Arizona. They're all over in Arizona. You know, a pool you're messing up.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go right after this, read a little, and then swim.
Yeah, and what you guys don't see is my girlfriend's eating some disgusting food right off camera.
Oh, man, dude, we were doing so good with this segment, but I think it's so good. I think it's so good.
It's healing me.
What?
I was kind of on topic with the dangerous inning thing. I was pretty interested. My last year in college, I was like putting a proposal together for motion capture stuff. And I wanted to look at like, do you think high pressure situations? Do you think certain pitchers, maybe high level pitchers or low level pitchers, react differently mechanically? Like, do you think it's possible that guys like and their mechanics end up getting getting affected by like their stress level or like the just like high pressure situations? Because there was also in Vicker's book they talked about it as well. It's like a quiet eye. The people who they like put athletes into high stress situations, raise their heart rate and all that stuff. And then they found that the athletes that were elite and they didn't get affected by that stress, they like had a better quiet eye. So I was wondering if there's like a
I'd go
similar
as far,
effect with mechanics.
I'd go as far to say it's not even it's not like unconscious too. I think it's a conscious decision. At least anecdotally, all the time.
Actually think I'm going to change this about my mechanics.
Yeah, when like shit went south, like walking people can't find the zone, it was just like constantly searching, whether it's like a different cue, a different type of like, you know, mechanic or whatever, like trying to do something different. I was doing that all the time as a conscious thing. Like I was like actively trying to be like, oh, well, shit, fucking mechanics ain't there today. Like maybe I'm opening up too early, falling off, whatever it is, that kind of a thing. So I would not be, that would be awesome to be able to look at like pitching mechanics, variability during like, you know, an inning that falls apart, like seeing if a guy's like trying to like hunt or find for, also that's like that at the younger level, at the college level, I think that's a very, very classic mound visit, which is like a huge no-no, but it happens all the time, right?
I was gonna say whatever the answer is on I wouldn't be surprised at all if there are wildly different answers at the MLB level versus college level as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
like
well,
a kind of like you have like a survivorship
level,
bias too. Like people that make it to MLB probably don't have the same sort of variability in those mechanics as people in college do.
Yeah, and I think there's actually like a couple different things to this. Like one is you have there could be the coach who just does it wrongly, which is like in their mind they go out to the mound and they're like, hey, you're falling off or you're striding too far, like stride lower. I think this happens at like the youth and high school level all the time, right? It's like you're going out there and it's like, do this. They're intentionally being serious and saying like your mechanics need to change to like execute better kind of a thing. But I've also had coaches, and I think this is like the galaxy brain coach that goes out there and says,
okay, Joe,
that says something like that, knowing that the mechanics aren't going to change, but just to get the pitcher's mind off of it kind of a thing. And I think there is like some value to that, you know, like just like making up some sort of problem, because it's really easy to be out there and in your head and be like, oh fuck, like I don't know what's going on, I'm really lost right now. And if it's, you know, the coach just goes out there and is like, hey, you know, just like sit into your back hip a little more, right? Like your mechanics might not change at all, but at least you just like were given something tangible when you're like lost, all yipped up out there kind of a thing. So that would be like really, really cool to see mechanical variability during like, one of those like innings that just gets out of control. I mean, I feel like mine personally would be like, I think I do it at the level of arm slots all the time. It's like,
I was always told like low elbow. Like, dude, for sure.
Or even just like on a pitch by pitch basis, right? It's like if slider gets like hit a couple times hard in a row, just like I have changed grips mid inning. I completely changed grips mid inning. Just like throw two sliders with like a spike grip, and they both get hit. And then the rest of the inning, I'm going like, you know, two fingers closed on a completely different like seam orientation.
You've changed which part of the hitter's back you're aiming for mid inning. I've seen that as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Do you think we'll be able to get more of this in-game data? I know that like big league teams obviously are hoping to do this with Simi and TRAQ, but maybe we can get some more in-game, motion capture data with pitch AI.
Yeah,
we have the TRAQ stuff. Oh, go ahead.
I feel like that stuff you're going to need to be very, very accurate, especially at that level. At the youth level, I think there's potential. Because again, I mean, like less than 10%, that's probably fine with people that have like pretty high variance mechanics. But at the MLB level, I'm pretty skeptical that.
Yeah, I was referring more to the amateur levels.
Yeah. I think at the amateur level, do some interesting stuff there. I also think that's a analytics thing that is always like interested me. That's the classic coachism that I was always like, really? You need to have consistent mechanics kind of a thing, you know, and like more variability is bad. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not sold on it.
You guys want to try to save this meandering podcast with our very polished upcoming segment?
Yeah.
biomechanical deep dive?
Yeah.
Or what do we want to call this? Just a specific look at what we churn out as a report for our athletes in gym, remote, so forth. And then you guys will kind of go through it, and I'll ask some, I'll either ask some questions or crack some jokes. But
yeah, so I think we haven't done it before. Definitely on the podcast. I think that there's some content out there about our, biomechanics work. It's basically just gonna be like an applied biomechanics section. How we actually like use the biomechanics report, walking through it, some things that we look for, a little bit of a taste, and then maybe getting into later on we could do like full on segments and breakdowns and comparisons. Quick screen share here. I do not have sharing abilities.
Let me check. Do you know how to?
I'm not sure who the host is. Oh, I'm the host now. Let's go. I can share.
I'm not sure who the host is. Blowing smoke.
What's
Do you
up?
know?
Can you guys see this?
Yeah, boy.
Okay, so I got Visual 3D Professional pulled up right now. This is an athlete. Their mechanics from, I believe this athlete mocapped on the 14th. So
yeah,
last Sunday.
I mean, I'm fine with telling people if you are. I'm fine with admitting that's me. That's my skeleton out there.
This is 100% not Alex Caravan. This throw specifically was 87.7. I'll put $500 down right now that you'll never throw a baseball 87.7 miles an hour off of a mound.
$500 that'll never throw 87.7.
5-ounce baseball off of the mound right now.
Like I have the rest of my life to do it.
Yeah, rest of your life to do it.
Well, let's do a cutoff because I ain't throwing it like past 45. Or I mean, really, I'm not throwing it past like, nah. How about $500 on Lindley? What's your PR? Like 84?
83.6.
83.6?
No, I think it's 83.8.
All right, how about $500 on 83.8?
No.
And I have a decade to do it.
No, I think that's doable.
Okay, man, we still have to start. When I get back, we got to start playing catch immediately so I can.
Yeah, bro. I was down to play catch and you disappeared to Sacramento like 2 days after we went out to Rubens.
I'll do $100. I'll do $100 on 85. And I'll do $500 on 87.7.
No, I mean I don't think I'm reaching 87.7 either. I think I have a chance to catch Lindley's PR.
I'll just do the five. I'll just open the door 500. There's no like lose here. Just like if you do it, I'll give you 500.
Oh, okay. Word.
87.7.
Motivation to train.
I'll give you 500 if you hit triple digits.
Off a mound?
5-ounce baseball. So we both got some long shot motivations. Let's go, dog.
Mine is way more of a long shot than yours. What?
I don't know,
That's
bro.
how you look at it.
Okay.
Brady's about to run off out of the podcast studio right now and start trading.
We're gonna cut this short. I gotta go throw right now.
Throwing plows in the pool.
Okay. So this is an athlete from Arizona, 87.7 miles an hour. We collect biomechanical data on a couple throws, get some averages. This is what happens when we have the motion capture lab set up. We apply all the markers to like various anatomical landmarks, recreating joint segments, joint centers, and then from there we use Visual 3D to process all of that data. And that recreates this. In this case, for visual purposes, it's a skeleton. But if we wanted to, we could remove the skeleton. Oh, scapulars are still there. But really, we're just creating stick figures to measure cylinders, the angles between segments. Oh, you want the
cones?
You want the segment geometry?
Yeah.
I always think that one looks weird. But yeah, so we're trying to recreate the segments of the body to calculate the angles. From there, you're able to get angular velocities, accelerations, and then actually these segments are a good indication of estimates for MOIs for the mass moment of inertia to then quantify things like kinetics, forces, torques, all of that. So.
And go back from the beginning where the guy's first kind of moving forward. So a question kind of I think I kind of know the answer to this, or but so the Z, X, and Y coordinates, are they set from just where his back foot is, or is that like just always set from the same spot on the mound?
So this is a ground plane. The ground plane sets the orientation of the lab, so it could be variable throughout where they start. So we calculate.
We got 10 minutes
off of the ground plane. So that changes throughout. But because we have the data, I mean, we can find out what this position is, and then like understand, stride length, stride direction.
And what's the green, orange, red kind of color coding of the arm as it goes through the throwing motion?
We just mapped signal values to the segments, which you could do for anything. Like in the past, we've done it to show sequencing, but for this is the kinetic values. So these are the joint moments. This is the shoulder internal rotation moment mapped to the humerus, and then on the forearm you have elbow varus moment. And so you can just see where the peak amount of stress experienced in the throw is, which is like that maximum layback when the arm goes from like decelerates out of layback or accelerates out of layback into release. So that's kind of just the visual portion, but the real
before you go to the report, can you go to some of the events? So like we break it up into different events so we can create metrics and like compare people as well.
So we've got the events right here. We can see this is the point of max hip shoulder separation, lead knee height max. But the main ones, at least for like points of interest, are going to be foot plant. So positional metrics where the athlete is at foot plant. We have maximum external rotation, and then we also have like maximum elbow extension velocity. Ball release is right here. Maximum internal rotation. So that's going to be like the end range of motion of that. We've just got various points of interest that we can then compare on a like discrete metric basis across people.
And do you guys, because we obviously have like the PDF report and other outputs we give to the athletes, how often do you guys sit down and kind of like show this to an athlete? Or do you ever do that, or just mostly for trainers?
Every time now.
Every time you're able to whip it up in Visual 3D and kind of take them through their motion?
Not me personally. That was kind of the thing we set up last winter, because Visual 3D has a free version, and also like we've made some past study data publicly available. So if you download the free version of Visual 3D, you can pull up any of our CMZs from those studies.
So if I was an athlete,
our trainers have access to all of our CMZ files of the biomechanics report. So every trainer has access to exactly what I'm showing right now in the free version of Visual 3D that they pull up during the biomechanics meeting with the athlete.
And if you're down like for a quick minute or 2 minutes demo, say I am this athlete, which I am, but say I am this athlete, and then you're one of the trainers, you're taking me through it. What kind of intro or what kind of initial general thoughts are you kind of explaining to me?
So this is actually a unique one where this athlete actually has had 2 other biomechanics reports with us. I'm nearly positive. It might just be one of them being last year.
No, I have. Yeah, I have.
In gym. So in that event, we'd probably start with, what changed, that kind of a thing. But if this was their first biomechanics report, first of all, it's an overview of like what happens, which is like, hey, biomechanics, we're recreating this 3D model, and we're trying to show you what your mechanics look like in space. The value here is that we can look at you from like any angle, whatever we want to do, as you're going through the throwing. As far as giving them something like tangible mechanically that we work on, we would start with our like notes and drill scores and prescriptions and like flagged variables based on the bucket system that we've talked about before, and getting into the report. Like the numbers are a lot easier to be like, okay, here's where you are, and kind of like what can change, kind of a thing. I think the report is going to give the best picture of that. So we go over like all of this tabular data, what's good, what's bad, how these graphs kind of look, how they should look. But I think the easiest tangible piece for the athlete across the board is always going to be these overlaid signals within the report. and this is the signals mapped against the averages of the hard throwers in our data set. So basically anyone that's come through and was 88 plus, you can see where your elbow flexion signal looks like throughout the throw compared to everyone else. So like here's a good example of like this athlete is doing what most of the throwers are doing. He's actually creating more shoulder horizontal abduction into foot plant out of it, which is pretty tight. That's a big marker that we look for. This athlete, this throw specifically was 88.4. I want to say the average across the board was 88.07. So he would actually be an athlete that would be added in to this data set of the 88 plus, which is good. That's what we'd expect. We would hope that his throwing mechanics would map similarly. If there was an athlete that wasn't able to create the same metrics and positions, it would be shown here. And I think there's actually one, if you look at hip shoulder separation, you know, his is dipping down a little earlier. And one of the buckets reports notes that actually showed up was how there was a good amount of counter rotation, like torso and pelvis angles were looking pretty good, but timing was a little inefficient and had some room to improve. I think the pelvis was rotating a bit late when we look at kinematic sequencing. So looking at the order of the kinetic chain kind of sequencing rotationally, this peak pelvis rotation is happening a little too late in the throw. And that was kind of the only like flag or knock that we had on this athlete. Ideally, we'd be seeing it a little earlier. And during the meeting, it's like pretty common to pull up, you know, past reports, examples of like what looks good. Like pretty fortunate that we have so many like 95 plus throwers in the database with mechanics that work well within this model to show them like, oh, you know, you should be doing something like this, that kind of a thing. So you get this report, which you get walked through with the meeting, as well as some additional like supplemental notes in TRAQ, and then also drill scores and programming built around the efficiencies, inefficiencies, all of that.
And why do you have two max external rotation markers there? The two orange lines.
Where's that?
Or you have what do you have multiple? Aren't the orange lines? Aren't the orange vertical lines the MER?
Are you saying here?
No, on the graph.
Here. Oh, because it's 3 throws in this.
Oh, yeah, right.
Thing.
Okay.
So this is the average signal, and then everything is synced to foot plant as far as the graphs go. But then it looks like, there was one throw where he experienced MER just a little bit later.
Between foot plant and ball release, right?
Yeah.
Like, so the two endpoints are set, and then the things in between are kind of variable based on.
Yeah, so you can see on this one, there was actually like a bit of variability in MER for this graph. 3 different points of MER.
One interesting thing to me on the arm action graph, and you saw it even on the hip shoulder separation graph on the full signal ones when you're comparing to the control, you could see the like how the various metrics like change in variabilities or like variance between guys. So like the horizontal abduction in the elite throwing group, like within one standard deviation below the average, it's like, I don't know, like within 2 standard deviations, there's like 30 degrees of difference there, which is pretty crazy. For
and it seems like it consolidates at max external rotation too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the same kind of with hip shoulder separation. So it's kind of interesting to see how the different how like throwing hard can be created differently with different like metrics. Oh, yeah. So like pelvis angle and torso angle are pretty consistent, but then hip shoulder separation, which I assuming is just due to timing, is more variable.
Yeah. And we'll throw this segment up on YouTube. TBD on including an audio section.
Yep.
If we do include it on the audio section and you hate it, let us know.
Yeah.
Our DMs are always open. Drop some reviews, that kind of stuff. But yeah, we'll have some new presentation styles for the podcast going forward. But
that'll
episode 20.
That'll wrap it. Hopefully, new changes, and exciting updates coming to the Driveline R&D podcast.
And I'm about to do a deep clean of this room. The second I sign off.
Primarily by Anthony Brady with co-hosts Alex Caravan and Kyle Lindley.
He's saying it enough times so he starts believing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Lindley,
fine,
by
bro.
the way, has a great personal blog. Go check it out.
Hey, it's fine, bro. We all know I get more DMs from podcast
We're
followers.
gonna end it there before Caravan says it.